Good day, everyone. TESOL International Association's Affiliate Network Professional Council is pleased to present this webinar titled Increasing Role of TESOL Affiliates as Advocacy Agent. Our speaker is Dr. Luis Javier Penton Herrera, and we are very pleased to welcome all of you to this webinar. My name is James Pappel, and I will be your moderator for today's event. Today's presentation will last approximately 60 minutes, and will include a question and answer period as well. To enter a question, simply type your question into the box on the lower left-hand side of your screen, and then click on the send button. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce today's speaker. Dr. Luis Javier Penton Herrera currently teaches TESOL at high school in Laurel. He is an adjunct professor at the University of Maryland and the University of Maryland University College. He is, of course, a member of the AMPC, and we are delighted to have him here with us today. Luis, welcome to the program, and let's get started.
Thank you very much, James, for that introduction. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me today in this webinar. I'm glad to be sharing with you this presentation, and I am planning to present for about 40 to 45 minutes, and then I would like to open up for questions. And let me see, because I hear some sounds. Please, if you're not speaking, if we can silence your cell phone so I can, or I'm sorry, if you can silence your microphones. I see, I hear some sound there. Okay, I think we're fine now. All right, so again, I'm planning to present for about 40 to 45 minutes, and then I would like to open up for questions at the end so we can, I can hear your thoughts and we can learn together. Okay, so let me go to the next slide here. All right, here we go. Can you see the, okay, here it is. Okay, good. So before we begin, I would like to share a little bit of information about my presentation. And you can see a little bit of information there in the slide, but also I want to share with you how I came to this topic of advocacy for TESOL affiliates. And that was through my very own experience as a member and now past president of Maryland TESOL. And during my time serving as a board member, I was also teaching at a high school and constantly reflecting about the topic of advocacy. And I was very interested in exploring ideas on how to best we could serve our Maryland TESOL membership and also our students. So I wrestled with who should be prioritized in our organization. Some questions that I always had were, you know, should we focus on serving our ESOL teachers, our ESOL students, or should we just focus on our TESOL, you know, English as a language, as a profession? So all of those questions were questions that I always struggled with. But then at the same time, when I became part of the executive board at Maryland TESOL, which means you know, serving in the roles of second, first vice president, president, and now past president, I realized that advocacy is also needed not only for our membership but also for our organizational survival. And I'll be expanding a little bit more on that thought in the webinar. Okay, so as we can see in this slide, I am dividing the presentation into 4 parts, and let me actually get to the next slide so you can see the outline. So the first part, I will explore the topic of advocacy from a TESOL affiliate perspective, and then I will suggest 5 common forms of advocacy that TESOL affiliates around the world are exercising today. And in parts 2, 3, and 4, I share some examples of how affiliates can collaborate with other organizations in their communities, but also really it's about reflecting on our own practices as affiliate leaders and what actions, what forms of advocacy, what activities we can do to ensure the survival of our organization, but also to involve our membership. All right. Okay, so really, before we start talking about advocacy, we have to ask ourselves, what is advocacy really? So the concept and practice of advocacy is really transdisciplinary. It's used in different contexts, and you know, people use it in different frameworks, and they have different understandings of them. So I share with you some definitions here of advocacy that we have seen before, especially the third bullet point there, our definition from Dr. Starfener. But I want to bring our attention to bullet points number 4 and 5. Advocacy is a craft. It can be learned and polished. So it's something that we're usually not born with it. It's a set of skills that we have to develop, right? And then number 5, individuals make the mistake of assuming that having good ideas is enough. This point is crucial. What they fail to grasp is how vital advocacy is to success. And in this bullet point, I want to make emphasis on that bullet point because I feel that many times as TESOL affiliate leaders, we have these great ideas of how to improve our organization, but what we fail to do is to take action on those ideas. So that's where advocacy comes into play and the importance of advocacy. It's just not enough to have good ideas. We have to take action. We have to plan those ideas and make them into, turn them into advocacy. And that's how we can make our ideas come to fruition. So for the purpose of this webinar, I want us to think as advocacy, and we will define it as planned actions taken by individuals to achieve TESOL affiliates success. All right, and it's very important that we think about advocacy as planned actions. It has to be planned. It's not something that we just do randomly. We have to think about them first, have a plan, and then act on them. All right. All right, so our affiliate as an advocacy agent. So now that we have briefly explored the topic of advocacy, we need to define what an advocacy agent is. And I would like to propose that we think about advocacy agents as individuals serving at TESOL affiliates around the world who take planned actions to benefit their affiliate organization, the membership they serve, and also TESOL as a profession. All right, so advocacy agents are those individuals, those leaders at TESOL affiliates, making those wonderful ideas, taking action on them, and advocating for those ideas to become reality. All right, so hopefully that provides some clarity on advocacy and advocacy agents as we transition into our presentation. All right. All right, so when I became an ESOL teacher before moving to Maryland, I really didn't know much about the TESOL affiliate at my previous location. In fact, I only heard once or twice about the affiliate from other teachers, from other ESOL teachers, and they said that becoming a member was good because they had yearly conferences. And as a new ESOL teacher, I thought that's it. You know, I should become a member for a once-a-year conference, and I really didn't see the benefit of becoming a member. But then when I moved to Maryland and I joined the Maryland TESOL board, especially during my time as president, I started to think about our purpose as an affiliate. And I questioned our goal. What is our goal? That's what I kept thinking. What is our goal as an organization? We had wonderful past presidents who had created a strategic plan, and I'm going to show you that a little bit later in the presentation. But I still wondered if there was more we could do. And the more I looked around at all their affiliate strategic plans and goals from around the world, 5 primary types of advocacy surfaced in my research. And these are the 5 primary types of advocacy that I saw from TESOL affiliates around the world. So advocacy for the organization, in this form of advocacy, the affiliates focus on the institution. Advocacy for teachers and professional development, and in this form of advocacy, affiliates focus on member and professional and profession focused. Advocacy for, sorry, I don't know what happened. Let me go back to, okay. Advocacy for English learners and their family, and it's learner focused. Okay, if we can mute your, so let's see, so please, if you're not speaking, let's mute our, I'm sorry, I keep, okay, that's good. All right, so the 4th one is advocacy for immigrants and their communities, community focused, and advocacy for English language education, language focused, all right? So this is to say that TESOL advocacies, when they're founded, or even as they redefine themselves, they shape their organizations to take actions into, to benefit these five main ideas or components. And more often than not, I did see affiliates focus on 2, maybe 3 forms of advocacy. So it was very rare to see just one form of advocacy. I'm going to share you some examples. Now, something that I want to highlight here is the importance of taking actions, of advocating around the TESOL affiliates memberships. When choosing an organizational goal, TESOL affiliates need to make sure that their membership is being represented, and that this organizational goal they chose will give members the opportunity to participate in the organization. And so if you're choosing a goal for your organization, then your actions, the type of your advocacy, should be tailored to meet those goals. So and also when you're choosing the goals and you're advocating, you're taking those actions to make those goals a reality, your membership should be included. If not, then the organization's sustainability will be compromised. Okay. So let me give you an example here of the first form of advocacy for the organization. And this is usually adopted by TESOL affiliates concerned about continuity, or by veteran TESOL affiliates who seek to rebrand, refocus as an organization. And we see that many times, organizations who are maybe hitting their 40, 50-year mark, and they're trying to rebrand themselves or reinvent themselves. So they start focusing on their organization, and the actions they take is towards their own organization. They want to revamp to make their organization more appealing to the membership. Okay, and I have an example here from Haiti TESOL. And in this slide, we can see in the Haiti TESOL use writing as a form of advocacy. And this organization is interested in becoming an institution that can help their community primarily. And if you read the article, once I share with you the PowerPoint, and you can click on the link there, you will see that McKinsey is asking for mentors and partners to support their organization in their efforts of improving our education and opportunities in their country. So in here, we see that McKinsey becomes an advocacy agent for his organization. He's trying to ask people to support his organization to keep or to maintain Haiti TESOL as a relevant organization in their community. Okay, we have the next slide here. We have advocacy, the second form of advocacy for teachers and professional development. Okay, and this is usually adopted by TESOL affiliates who prioritize the members' training and professional development above all. All right, and we have an example here from Costa Rica TESOL, and then one from Australia TESOL. All right, and especially if we look at Costa Rica TESOL, we can see how organization advocates for their English teachers, some of the activities and some of the advocacy efforts that they do, they support professionals legally, they represent them in the Ministry of Education, they look for opportunities, so employment opportunities. So you can read more in their website, and I have those links there when I share the PowerPoint presentation. So they have goals of supporting their membership, and their actions, their form of advocacy turns into action by doing all of this. Okay, then the next form of advocacy that we have is advocacy for English learners and their families, so learner focus, usually adopted by TESOL affiliates who prioritize English learners, and that's K through 12 and adults, and their families above all. Okay, and then we have Carolina TESOL, an example there, and Georgia TESOL. Okay, and I want to bring the attention there to Carolina TESOL, the second bullet point, working with state governments to encourage public school systems to provide effective services to all their non-native speakers. So that's a form of advocacy there, helping bridge the culture and language challenges of foreign students and visitors. Okay, and then we have Georgia TESOL to work cooperatively towards the improvement of instruction in all programs. So that's another form of advocacy there for their students, right? Then we go to the fourth one here, advocacy for immigrants and their communities. So this is community focused and is usually adopted by TESOL affiliates who prioritize immigrants and their communities above all. Okay, and we have an example here of what TESOL, Washington, D.C., TESOL, and one of their goals is to maintain and further develop institutional ties and professional presence in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, nationally and internationally. And they do have a What TESOL advocacy page, and then one of their interests is political and policy issues affecting immigrants and English learners. And they have some resources in their website sharing immigrants documents, sharing immigrants' rights, and some information that all teachers and schools can use for their English learners. All right, and then the fifth is advocacy for English language education. And in this form of advocacy is language focused, so it's usually adopted by TESOL affiliates who prioritize English teaching and learning above all. Okay, and we see an example here of Nile TESOL and Japan TESOL. And as you can see, it's for Nile TESOL, for example, is a professional association for all those individuals who are actively involved in the development of the teaching of English and teaching content in English in Egypt and globally. So you see their actions are, they support this goal of supporting English education and English teaching. Same with Japan TESOL. Japan Association for Language Teaching is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the improvement of language teaching and learning. So all their advocacy efforts are surrounded by this goal of improvement of language teaching and learning, specifically English language and learning. All right, and let me go to the next slide here. Oops, sorry, the other one. All right, so let's reflect here. Some questions that I would like to explore with you, and I definitely want to go back to these questions at the end of the presentation. We have other sections to cover, but at the end of the presentation, I want us to think about this, and I want to explore all of these questions with you as TESOL affiliate leaders. One last thought in this slide that I want to share with you as we go through these questions. What is advocacy? Why is advocacy important for your organization? How often your organization does your organization reflect about their goals and objectives, and what actions do you take to make them a reality? Are your organization's goals and objectives still relevant for your membership? Has your membership changed since the goals were last updated or revised maybe? Are your advocacy efforts sustainable for your organization? Are your actions truly beneficial for those you aim to serve and support? Okay, so one last quote here that I have in this slide is, you adapt, evolve, compete, or die. And I share this quote here with you because I believe one of the main reasons why TESOL affiliates cease their activities or become defunct is because their advocacy efforts do not directly align with their membership expectations. So this produces non-participation, lack of membership involvement. So we see enrollment go down. And a great example that I can give you of how an organization can adapt to their changes is New Jersey TESOL, New Jersey Bilingual Educators affiliate. And this organization identified a need within the bilingual education community, and they adapted their organization to include bilingual education, bilingual education teachers. And I often see that as a TESOL educator, I see that bilingual education and dual language educators really do not have in some states in the US, they do not have an organization in their states. And many times world language or literacy organizations at those states, I do see them tailoring their services to attract those bilingual educator teachers. So I think this is a great area where TESOL affiliates could expand their services if it's applicable, of course. But an important message that I can think and I would like to share with you is that if your actions as TESOL affiliates are not in unison with our membership expectations, then sustainability, your organization's sustainability will be jeopardized. So we're going to go back to this here at the end of our presentation, because I do want to hear your thoughts about this, and if your organizational goals are meeting your actions and your advocacy efforts and your organization, are they aligning with your membership expectations? That's one big question that I have for all of you, and I would like to learn together at the end of this presentation. All right, so we're going to return to this question here. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is our part 2 of the presentation, and in here, part 2, 3, and 4, I'm going to reflect a little bit about how when I was Maryland TESOL president, how I took my organizational goals and how I made sense of them in my year as president, and the advocacy efforts that we really as an organization took to align our goals with our membership and make sure that we became more visible, more active in our efforts, more proactive too. All right, so here we go. So this is part 2. So a few years back, at Maryland TESOL, we were facing with low enrollment, and enrollment really goes up and down every year, as we know as TESOL affiliate leaders. We needed more people serving our organization goal, our organization or board. So some years we had more people, some years we had some vacancies. I realized that we had some localized services, primarily in the Baltimore area or Howard County. We needed to expand a little bit more, especially to the western and eastern area of Maryland. I think our organization was not as visible as it could be, because we needed to be more active in our social media platforms, and there was a need for collaboration with other organizations and individuals really with similar interests. So there was an area that we could exploit there to make our organization more visible and hopefully bring more membership. So a team of advocacy agents at our organization, primarily led by Dr. Doa Rashid, Maryland TESOL wonderful past president, worked on a 5-year strategic plan to guide the Maryland TESOL leadership in the years to come. And we see here a strategic plan of action 2015-2020. It's on our website. And as you can see in this strategic plan, our goals primarily focus on 2 areas, which is institution, going back to what I was sharing with you in the beginning, advocacy focused on the institution, but also on the membership. And we had some community elements there, I would think. Looking back here, and primarily our focus really focused on organizational sustainability, revenue, making sure that we expanded our membership. So it was mostly making sure that our Maryland TESOL organization remained sustainable, and that we brought more individuals, more membership. So since when I became president in the year 2018-2019, I decided to focus on some of these strategic plans. And let me go back here very quickly. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 strategic plans, and then all of them have different objectives, like objective 1, finance, objective A, increase revenue. So since 2015, most of our past presidents have been focusing on some of these areas, not on all of them at the same time, because there are too many. But this is definitely a wonderful blueprint for all of us to focus on, all the incoming presidents. So what I did during 2018-2019 is that I focused on three strategic plan of actions. So the first one, I focused on increasing revenue and monitoring expenses. Okay, and some of the questions that I asked myself is, what do our members need? Do we have any grants out there that we can identify and apply? And then partnering up with organizations also, I felt that it was needed at that time. Then another plan of action that I focused on was 2E, create and maintain relationship with government and professional organizations and advisors. and community, I thought about community organizations, nonprofits, schools, state organizations, Maryland Association of Counselors, for example, now that trauma and social emotional learning is becoming bigger and bigger in our state. Sister affiliates, TESOL, Virginia TESOL, Puerto Rico TESOL, and then TESOL International. And with TESOL and Virginia TESOL, what we did is that we partner up with TESOL International, and we offer one of the certificates that TESOL International offers. We talked to TESOL International, TESOL, Virginia TESOL, Maryland TESOL, and we told them that if we could please get a lower rate, then we would fill one of their certificate sessions, and then if there was an opportunity for a membership to get a special rate, and which we did. So TESOL, Virginia TESOL, Maryland TESOL's memberships, they all of them benefited by having a lower rate, so they could complete one of the certificates for TESOL International. So that was one of the ways that we could maintain relationships, create and maintain relationships with sister affiliates, but also taking into consideration our memberships needs and how we can support them and help them really achieve this certificate while giving them a lower rate. And another strategic plan of action was to communicate and collaborate with other organizations. So outreach was very important. And a question that I asked myself is, how can our intersections take a more active role in our organization? And they were already very active, but I wanted to see if, I was really reflecting about, okay, what else is there? What else do we need to do? Or who are we not reaching that we could reach in our, in our membership? And that was something that I really reflected about. So I'm going to give you some examples here. So as I looked inside, and that was part 2, looking inside, reflecting about, of course, again, it's advocacy is planned action. So I looked at this strategic framework, and I looked inside, I reflected about these 3 components that I focused on, these 3 points of action, if you will. And then after looking inside, then I looked around, and guided by the strategic plan and the 3 identified goals that I identified, then I asked myself, okay, what can we do as an organization to improve? And what changes need to be made to expand our network and collaborative efforts? And this is our 3rd part, looking around. So the first thing that I did was to, we took different forms of actions. So the first president, that was me at the time, I created different committees to tackle different initiatives where intersections would contact and collaborate with different institutions. And that began the different advocacy efforts that we had during that year to expand our, to really shake our organization and then expand our collaborative efforts, to expand our outreach, but also to make our membership, to increase our membership, but also make our membership more active in the organization. So the first vice president, who is now president, she reached out to TESOL affiliates, specifically TESOL and Virginia TESOL, and invited them to join us at our yearly conference. And we do that now with Virginia TESOL and TESOL every year. We invite them, we give them a free table so they can advertise their organization, and they do the same to us. So we're maintaining that sisterhood every year. Second VP and elementary intersection, they reached out to Frederick Community College, and they secured a free space for what was before the Western Maryland mini conference. We were trying to expand our reach in the state of Maryland. So we began with a Western Maryland mini conference just to see if there was interest in Western Maryland teachers, being part of the Maryland TESOL community. And it was a huge success. So the mini conference was free because Frederick Community College gratefully, they really graciously, they gave us a lot of space, a whole building for free. And we had close to 100 participants in that mini conference. We're actually going to have our second mini conference this year. But what we did was that mini conference then became the efforts of making Western Maryland an intersection. And so now we do have a Western Maryland intersection in Maryland TESOL, and a lot of members now became active, and they joined Maryland TESOL because now they see themselves represented. So Advocacy intersection, that year they were very, very active. They were reaching out to Casa de Maryland, a nonprofit organization in the state that works with with other community organizations to support immigrants. They also reached out to politicians. That year we had Advocacy intersection. I believe it was 7 or 8 politicians in the state of Maryland that they went to talk to, and they were asking them to support our immigrants, our English learners, our ESOL teachers. So it was very, very active for Advocacy intersection that year. Jim's letter co-editors, they solidified partnership with Puerto Rico TESOL's leadership, and up until this day, Puerto Rico TESOL, it's a really close sister organization that we keep close contact with. And graduate student intersection continued our partnership with UMBC. They have yearly mini conferences, and they continue that partnership with UMBC, which is the efforts of many past presidents long ago. And then the past president in 2018, 2019 reached out to 2 ESOL leaders at 2 respected institutions and invited them to join our board because we did have some vacancies. So that was one way to also bring TESOL leaders into our board our board, but also to fill vacancies. So directly reach out to them. All right. So, and then after, let me go back here. Sorry, I'm looking. Okay. So after we looked around, and then we designed. We took actions. We advocated for our goals to improve our organization. Then we also decided to look outside. And then I thought about really every single board member at Maryland TESOL. They have so much wealth of knowledge, of just networking that we could exploit. And that's what I realized, you know what, we could use our human resources, our individuals, as resources to bring other individuals to the board, to increase our networks, and to also bring opportunities for collaboration, to increase our membership. And some examples here. Sorry, let me drink some water. 1 second, please. All right. So some examples here. I had been invited the previous year in 2017, I believe, to the National Museum of Language to present about Spanish-related research. And then I reached out to them and I asked them if they would be interested in becoming exhibitors at our conference that year. And then I shared with them some of the potential benefits they would have if the TESOL membership, the ESOL teachers, would become interested in their national museum, and up until this day they come every year as exhibitors. Also with Frederick Community College, we continue to once we solidify our communication with them, and then they gave us that free space for the first Western Maryland mini conference. Then we continue to communicate with them, and we invited 2 members from Frederick Community College, and they became the Western Maryland intersection representatives. So now we have our second mini conference this year, and it would also be for free. And we continue that partnership with Frederick Community College through our board members as well, of course. University of Maryland, Baltimore County, we graduate student intersection that year was very active, and it was always represented at UMBC. So we always had a free space there for their mini conference. All right, so going back to that idea that I was sharing with you on part 3. So if we can resume really in 3 easy steps. Advocacy as planned actions for the benefit of the TESOL affiliate. So we first look inside, we find our goal first, and what we need to do as an organization. For presidents specifically, focus on 2-3 goals on those 5 forms of advocacy that I shared with you earlier in the presentation. And then we start looking around, how can we make these goals, and going back also to the definition of advocacy. Good ideas, good goals. Okay, so how can we take action? How can we advocate to make those goals a reality? And that's when you, in part 2, that's when you start making your goals and turning them into actions, into forms of advocacy. And then you use all your human resources, your individuals or your board to make each of them become advocacy agents. They take different actions to support your TESOL affiliate, but also your membership. And then you start looking outside, you start making connections. While you're supporting your membership and using your individuals or your board to make those goals a reality, what else can you do? How else can you make connections outside, maybe organizations that you have not considered before? And that's how you expand your reach efforts, and that's how you become more visible as an organization. Because really, when we think about advocacy, it's increasingly important for us as TESOL affiliates, not only for our membership, but also for us. We need to be able to support our membership and also stay current and relevant to what we're doing, to our goals. And I think that's the most important balance, making sure all the actions that we're taking, our advocacy efforts, are sufficing or making our membership wanting to become more involved, and so they can see themselves represented. If not, then our TESOL affiliates will be, our sustainability will be jeopardized. If we go to the next slide, please. Okay, and I'll share that with you. You can take a look at those 2 conference promos and a little bit of information about what we did in 2018 and 2019 at Maryland TESOL, and that kind of summarizes a little bit of our advocacy efforts too. And it's a promo for our conferences. All right, next slide, please. Thank you very much. And again, I apologize for my computer shutting down, but thank you so much for your time. And I would love to go to the next slide. Please, Valerie, if we can go to the next slide and go back into these questions that I shared with you earlier. Let's reflect. And I would like to open up for discussions. I see here that we had a few questions and some comments, but I would like to open up for anyone who would like to share your thoughts, your maybe answer to some of these questions as TESOL affiliate leaders. Okay, so we have here, well, we have a few comments here. Deborah, I appreciate that framework in the very beginning, looking at the different kinds of advocacy based on the affiliate's mission statements. I love that too, Deborah, of people are joining a mission, not an organization. Yes. And can you speak more to sustainability of your previous work, especially given the challenges you mentioned, fluctuating volunteers? Yes, and that's thank you very much, Deborah, for that question. So sustainability, when I went to TESOL International last year, and I was invited to present there at the ANPC mini conference, if you will. I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of TESOL affiliate leaders, and in the United States and also overseas. And really, I think we all agreed that enrollment was one of the biggest challenges for our organizations. And obviously that goes back to sustainability. If we don't have enough memberships, if we're not serving a healthy population, then our membership is our organization then is going to be it's going to become obsolete and defunct. So what I found is that it's very important for us to bring members, and especially fresh and new ideas. If we have any vacancies, if we have every year when we open up for voting to welcome new members to the board, if we don't reach out, if we I'm sorry, if we have vacancies, it's very important that we reach out directly to potential board members, and we can look at try to find as much representation as possible. We were thinking actually for this year, because we had a few vacancies for the advocacy intersection, we were thinking even going a little bit beyond TESOL, and why not invite for the advocacy intersection, why not invite individuals working in community organizations directly serving immigrants, for example. So if our goals align, then they can also serve in Maryland TESOL, because their goal is really to advocate for our immigrant population, and that's what we've been working towards at Maryland TESOL, supporting our membership, our TESOL teachers, but also our students and immigrants. So always think about how you can expand your reach, and it might be within TESOL, but also outside with sister organizations or organizations even outside of the TESOL realm that you can find common grounds with, and that's how you increase your membership. Also, in making your sisterhood with other organizations stronger. And when we solidify our support with Puerto Rico TESOL and our sisterhood, then also we had a couple members become Maryland TESOL members as well. So, that's another way to also improve and keep your membership healthy. Okay. And then we have another comment here from Minnesota TESOL board here. Recently sent out an advocacy survey to our membership to ask about their advocacy priorities. Yes, that's a wonderful idea. I plan to use those responses to guide our actions as well as connect members to efforts of partner organizations. Leah, that's wonderful. Yes, and that's exactly what we should be doing as TESOL affiliate leaders. We should be looking at our membership and asking them, inviting them, providing spaces where they can come in and talk to us, even inviting them at our monthly meetings, if you have monthly meetings, even if they're not serving on the board, and asking them, okay, what do you need from us? How can we tailor our advocacy efforts, our actions to serve you best? And that's if you're focusing on that advocacy focus on TESOL teachers. So if you're focusing on immigrant populations or your community, then go out to the community, talk to the community, and ask them how you can support them better. And that's how you get more people to be, first you become visible as an organization, and then you become the place to go for participation. So people want to become involved with you because they're participating in your efforts too. We have Deborah, have you written somewhere about this process? No, thank you for that question. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about writing about it. I think I have to see how I can organize it in writing, but I think that will be a good idea. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I would like to ask any of you about these questions or any other thoughts about in your specific contexts. Would TESOL Journal be a good venue for such publication? That might be maybe like current issues. They have a section there for TESOL Journal. That might be, maybe I can approach TESOL Journal and ask. That might be a good idea. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. And anyone else that would like to share in your context of your TESOL affiliates as leaders, how have you, I'm interested in learning if you have changed or updated or revamped your goals, your actions to better come in unison with your membership, or to better serve your community, the community that you're trying to reach. Has any of you worked on anything similar to goals, realignment perhaps? Leah, that's a wonderful question. I'm thinking about your 5 types of advocacy. Do you feel it is important to have different people on our board focus on different types or focus on 1 or 2 type each year? I think it really, Leah, goes down to your membership. And so I would not do more than 2, maybe 3, because if you do all 5, then it's really about your manpower. Do you have enough people on your board to effectively advocate for all different populations at the same time? So I would do 1 to 2, maybe 3, but it has to go back to your organizational goals. And if those advocacy efforts are not being reflected in your goals, then also your goals have to be readjusted. So yes, to answer your question, 1 or 2 per year, I think will be fine, maybe 3. But if your goal continues to be the same, then maybe your goal can only allow 1 or 2 or 3. It probably won't allow all 4 or 5 or 5 of them. Thank you, Alex. Yes, definitely. I will email you I will email you. Heather, I think the focus on advocacy depends very much on the context, and agree on focusing on 1 or 2 would make the most sense. Yes. Thank you very much, Heather. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, everyone. If you have any other comments, I will definitely share with you this PowerPoint presentation, and you have some links there that you can look at. But if you have any comments at any time, even after our presentation today, please email me and let me know. And I would love to hear from you if you reflect about these questions, if you'd like to share your thoughts after the presentation. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate it. I'm glad it was helpful, and I hope this helps us as advocacy leaders, as TESOL leaders to at our affiliates, to reflect a little bit more about our organization, our goals, and what actions we're taking, what forms of advocacy we're taking to serve our membership. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you there. I hope we can continue this discussion when we're in Denver in about a month's time. And hopefully we'll see all of you at the different affiliate network sessions that we're going to be running as well. With that, we must conclude today's online program. Today's presentation was titled The Increasing Role of TESOL Affiliates as Advocacy Agents. It was a really great presentation, and a special thank you to our presenter, Luis. This concludes the program. It will be up on our YouTube channel soon, and have a great day, everyone, and you may now disconnect.